Good morning, everyone. Welcome to School for Course in Miracles. This is Bruce Rawles, and thanks as always to the founders of this wonderful school, Tim Wise and Lynn Corona. And this is such a cool forum because we get to come on to Zoom. Gosh, more than daily now, since the 3 new classes were added. If one were to attend everything available, and for a long time we've been able to have this available to us. So it's a really cool thing, and we appreciate it. So without further ado, I thought I would welcome everyone and also mention what we're going to be talking about today, which is the inner shift. And also, that's the end of chapter 21 and then the beginning of chapter 22. And let's see, the inner shift is on, I've got it here in front of me. It's on page 465 in the print edition of the text. And I thought I took a lead from Myra's wonderful class yesterday, and I went through Ken's commentary on it. And unlike it usually is, there's like, 7, 8, 12 pages. There's really only about 2 pages on the first part, and maybe 3-ish on the, give or take, on the second. So I think we might even, I don't know, maybe get through it. Does anyone else have the journey through the text, volume 3? Andy, Marissa, maybe we could take turns, and if anyone else has it, just let me know, and we could maybe read a little bit of that together. But before we do, let's start with today's lesson, which I thought I had in front of me, but apparently I don't, but I can get it really quick. Do this wonderful thing called the web edition, which is 285. So Abe, would you like to read today's lesson? And then we'll have a few moments of silence to meditate on it. It's 285.
Yes, let me get set up here.
Okay, thanks.
Lesson 285. My holiness shines bright and clear today. Today I wake with joy, expecting but the happy things of God to come to me. I ask but them to come and realize my invitation will be answered by the thoughts to which it has been sent by me. And I will ask for only joyous things the instant I accept my holiness. For what would be the use of pain to me? What purpose would my suffering fulfill? And how would grief and loss avail me if insanity departs from me today and I accept my holiness instead? Father, my holiness is yours. Let me rejoice in it, and through forgiveness be restored to sanity. Your Son is still as you created him. My holiness is part of me and also part of you. And what can alter holiness itself?
Okay, let's pick up where we left off. And the line that grabbed me as Abe was reading that was line 4 in the first paragraph. What use would pain be of me? Of what purpose would my suffering fulfill? And how would grief and loss avail me if insanity departs from me today and I accept my holiness instead? I mean, there's the two options, isn't it? I mean, it's just total wackiness, a silly, forgivable dream, or um, the peace that is waiting patiently for us to uncover it and discover that it's been there all along, huh? Yeah. It kind of ties into what I think Audrey was saying about, just looking at the masochistic ego without condemnation, right? Yeah. Any comments on that lesson?
I was just going to ask Bruce, what page in Journey Through the Text?
Oh,
Um,
in Journey Through the Text, volume 3,
got it.
Ken's comments on section 8 of chapter 21 begin on page 162.
Excellent.
So
Thank
you
you.
have it too?
I do.
Great. Okay. Well, there's 3 of us then that have it.
Yeah.
Oh, 4, 5. Whoa,
Five.
6. Oh my
Everybody
gosh.
does it.
We got more. I think more than half of us have copy. That's great.
All of us have.
Um, Super. Well, why don't we just start in on that? Let's, if any, let's see, Audrey, would you like to start on um, just read the bold and then maybe a couple of bold sections and then Ken's comments on the left column of page 162? It
Mm,
begins with our thoughts then dangerous. And
okay,
for
got it.
people just reading the just for people reading the profound and wonderful text without Ken's comments, which are also profound and wonderful. We're on the inner shift, which is chapter 21, the last section, to kind of wrap up this sequence of the last few Sundays. The inner shift, section 8 in chapter 21, is on page 465.
Okay.
Okay.
Our thoughts then, so this is the inner shift.
Mhm.
Are thoughts then dangerous to bodies? Yes. And Ken says, our thoughts are not dangerous to God, nor to our right minds, because they are outside truth and they do not exist. However, as long as we believe we are bodies, that ideas do leave their source, thoughts of guilt become dangerous. For example, we have judgmental thoughts and suddenly feel them in our bodies and become ill, or think we have hurt others who, in retaliation, because guilt demands punishment, will cause us pain and upset. Should I read another?
Sure,
Or
unless you want to comment on what you've read so far or
not
your
yet.
notes. Okay.
I'll get a little further in.
Okay.
The thoughts that seem to kill are those that teach the thinker that he can be killed, and so he dies because of what he learned. The subject here is our physical life and death. The thoughts that seem to kill teach us we can be killed in the body because murder is real. Our egos, having established the principle of one or the other, made it true for us as well. This means we destroyed our source, who is justified in taking our lives in return. Our dreams of body attest to his doing so, for we act out physically in form what we first made real in our minds, in content. And there's the metaphysics. I mean, this is why I've created, though the dreamer of the dream has created this world. And this is what we get in it.
Mhm.
I'm just so aware of that lately, and you know, it's a develop. I'm just it's a develop. Everything's a developmental stage now,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is a good thing. So I'm love to hear others' comments, or I could go
Yeah.
on.
We we made up a world where it's really either blatant fear or covert fear, isn't it? I mean, and all the seeming degrees in between. But everyone that seems to be separate is either a current enemy or a potential enemy. And it's just a matter of time before the ego says, okay, I'm sliding this one over into that other category now to continue the war. And that's the only thing the egos can do, because
Yeah.
that this ranges from suspiciousness to viciousness, right? So yeah.
And he also talks
Fortunately,
about,
that's not what we really are. It may be who we think we are, and we've been taught that from by ourselves, since there's no one out there, for who knows how long. But that's not the only option. Hallelujah. Huh? You gonna say something else, Audrey?
well, that he also touches on projection, where he says we have judgmental thoughts and suddenly feel them in our bodies and become ill. And for me, when I project out my guilt, it usually is on my own body, less
Mhm.
than other people, I think.
Mhm. Yeah, I think there's styles of abuse. there's the external abuse and the internal abuse.
I am
And
so self-centered. The
it's all about you, right? And how I'm abusing myself rather than someone else. Yeah, I mean, but I think once we realize that harming someone else, it obviously gets us nowhere and usually causes even more problems. Then we think, well, I'll take it out on myself, and then we realize, well, that doesn't work either, does it? No, okay. But that's somehow that reminds me of what Ken said about Freud is Freud knew a bad thing when he saw it, he just didn't know it wasn't real. So, and what the real alternative is that no one has to suffer, no one has to be the target of my ego's abuse if I just get up to that blue dot up there and then switch the damn thing off. Thank you. Anyone else on that first couple of sentences? The first four sentences.
Abe's got something.
Abe, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on Ken's commentary where he said that the thought that seemed to kill teaches that we can be killed in the body because murder is real.
Mm-hmm.
That I know everybody knows this, but it's always good to refresh our memories about it. Kill here covers a wide range, not just thoughts that are about killing somebody,
Mm-hmm.
but rather any judgment that we have.
Right.
Any judgment is an attack,
yep.
Which, at its core is just simply wish to kill, a wish to transfer guilt onto others because I don't want it within me, and therefore let that other receive God's punishment instead of me.
Bingo.
Which is really the ultimate kill right there. Yeah.
Yeah. We think we murdered God, so we need to be afraid of the retaliation. But we think if we can keep knocking off the potential allies of the ego's God, the ego's angry God, then maybe we can outrun the revenge that is our due, right? Yeah. Wild and crazy, huh? Yeah, and as you're saying that, I was thinking, well, character assassination is still assassination. It just doesn't always necessarily seem to express immediately in form, but it's the same thing, isn't it? Yeah. But it can't affect our real identity. That's the hermetically sealed, perfectly in perfect safety that truth about us is held in the part of our mind that we never lost. We might have actively fought against it, but it's still there, isn't it? Yeah, thanks. Anybody else on that? Okay. Marissa, would you like to read the next? Oh, how about the next column down to 5 up to, but
Sure.
not including 5 dot, or sorry, 8.3, 4 through 6. So basically most of the right column and starting with the end of the left. Does that sound good?
The end of the left. So we are at for if what you desire. Want me to start there, or where are we?
I've got on page 162, left column, bottom of the page. He goes from
He
life
goes
to
from
death.
life. That's
Yeah.
what I thought. Okay.
Oh, okay.
He goes from life to death. The final proof, he valued the inconstant more than constancy. And Ken says, there is no change in heaven and none in the Holy Spirit, but there is great change in the ego's world. Bodies and forms change because they come from the thought of change, the substitution of the miscreated, separated, and ever-changing Son for our reality as the changeless Son of that God created one with him. To ensure the perpetual existence of this separated self, we embrace the ephemeral and inconstant, eschewing the eternal and unchanging. And then Jesus says, surely he thought he wanted happiness, yet he did not desire it because it was the truth, and therefore must be constant. And Ken says, we do not want the constant because our existence is predicated on the inconstant. The proof that reality changes and we are that reality, unhappy perhaps, but existing nevertheless, and therefore correct in our separation belief, which he quotes from chapter 29, section 7. Needless to say, then, the last question must remain unanswered if our egos are to survive. Would you like me to continue?
Oh, or comment as
Sure.
you like. Yeah.
Sure. I'll continue on. And then Jesus says, reason will tell you that you cannot ask for happiness inconstantly. And Ken says, happiness must be constant. It cannot be that we are happy only when our needs are met, when the ego's sun is shining. The day inevitably comes when others do not meet our insatiable need for specialness, making us unhappy. The sun does not always shine, literally or figuratively, and if it does not, our momentary happiness was not true. Yeah, tying into that is that section, not sure where it is, where it says if someone doesn't fulfill the need you ascribe to them, that's when we are compelled to anger because the person did not fulfill the need. I'm not sure where that is, but I was thinking about that yesterday too.
It's probably about every other page, one way or the other in the course.
Yeah,
If not in that form, the content is there, right?
that's right.
Yeah.
And Jesus says, for if what you desire you receive, and happiness is constant, then you need ask for it but once to have it always. Listen to that. That's harkens to in the manual for teachers, basically, do I need to ask the Holy Spirit again? And he says, no. Does healing need to be repeated? That's the section. Yeah.
Right.
No, it's about trust. It's about trust.
Exactly. And that's in stark contrast to everything in this world that we think we need. And on the level of form, probably one thing that we probably all need is oxygen. That's a pretty good safe bet. But you take a breath, and yeah, less than a minute later, you want another. It's like we're greedy. We're not satisfied with that one that should have taken, but it didn't take. Same with water, food, sex, money, houses, and just anything that seems to be a physical appetite or wish or want or need, and yeah, everything that just comes and goes, is we're moving targets within a moving target game, and nothing lasts. If any of those things worked, we just should just require one application, right? I ate. Oh, good. I'm good for eternity now. I don't need another meal. I've eaten now.
Yeah, and then we complain about the oxygen. It's not good enough. It's polluted.
Right. Yeah.
So Ken says of this, if we are not happy, it is because we chose against it, not because our special world did not meet our needs. It is our decision-making mind that failed us, and it alone can bring the happiness we seek. Happiness, like Jesus, comes in response to a single unequivocal call. He reads from text chapter 4, section 3. Our own call.
Yep.
So the next line, I'll go ahead and read that. And you told me to go a little bit into the next page. So
Okay. Before you do, I was just
Yeah.
thinking, I've got pretty much almost everything he said here underlined heavily. It is our decision-making mind that failed us. I was thinking, well, when I read that first, I thought, well, it's the decision maker. It's my use of the decision maker that's the problem. I mean, it's because when I leave the decision maker in the ego position, thinking of it as a two-position switch, up here, this little, it's either switch to the ego or switch to the Holy Spirit. My finger's kind of in the way of the arrow point, which is what Ken says is that arrow, that points to the ego. That's the problem, not the decision maker. It's my wanting to be a separate self, my wanting to believe in separation, my wanting to engage and indulge in the sin, guilt, fear, death, duality thought system. That's the problem, and that's what failed us. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the way he's wording it is that it made the wrong decision.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing when
Yeah.
we're dabbling in duality.
That's right.
Yep. Oh,
So
go
I'll
ahead. Yeah.
continue on.
Mhm.
So Jesus says, "For no one fails to ask for his desire of something he believes holds out some promise of the power of giving it.
Mhm.
He may be wrong in what he asks, where and of what. Yet he will ask because desire is a request, an asking for, and made by one whom God himself will never fail to answer." And Ken says, "We do not ask help of someone we do not believe can give us what we want." There's that cannibalism there. We
Mhm.
ask the ego's help because it has the power to grant us existence, protected by the world's gift of fear and conflict. Wow, a gift. All that being said, a part of us knows that if we ask the Holy Spirit, he will grant us the peace and happiness we truly want. The ego splits off, dissociates, both parts, leaving us with mutually exclusive desires. One that wants the truth, that will return us to the home we never left. The other, desiring the illusion of eternal banishment. So these are two desires. We choose the latter because we do not wish to return to oneness, preferring instead to be our own God and live in our special world. The Holy Spirit, on the other hand, undoes the dissociation and answers the true desire of our hearts with forgiveness and love. Yeah, yeah.
Undoing the
There's
dissociation. That's it, isn't it?
yeah, it's quite stark, the two
Mhm.
desires, and of
Mhm.
course we dissociate, which makes the other invisible to us,
Mhm.
and the choice we're constantly making.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abe.
Yeah, the sentence that Jesus wrote that says, desire is a request, an asking for, and made by one whom God himself will never fail to answer. I had never thought of desires as requests.
Mhm.
And
Hmm.
it's pretty important because it's telling me, be careful what you desire for, I guess. This is um, alluding to this idea of manifestation,
Mhm.
except, normally when we're thinking thoughts about the world, and we think that those thoughts are going to manifest in the world in prosperity or whatever. Right here, this is talking about manifestation in the mind. So it's different, but it's nevertheless manifestation of our desire.
Right.
Um, and So it's good to be looking at our thoughts because they point to what we're desiring. And we need to question whether do we really want that or not.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
thanks.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think that's a gradual process where we become more and more honest with the results of our ego requests and seeing how those have failed us miserably and over time. The other thing, those mutually exclusive desires and the manifestation thing is when we choose Holy Spirit and desire that, desire the healing, desire the forgiveness, we get peace. I mean, that's consistent. But when we ask for an ego experience, we may or may not get the specific thing the ego wants. We might do the new age thing of saying, I want, you know, health, prosperity, great job, great life partner, great family, great, environment, yada yada, go on and on, and make a huge list of things. But the script may have this we're mostly unconscious of, that is our teaching curriculum, may have something else far different than what the ego uh, demands. But what we do get is we get the request to identify with an ego, and so even though it's a very chaotic and seemingly random world, we get the ego experience, even though the details of may not be to our liking, right? Yeah. Marissa?
Yeah, I just was going to add to when Abe brought up the when you desire something, it's really an ask. I think that's what he said.
Mhm.
With he may be wrong what he asks, where and what he wants. Yet he will ask because desire is a request. That's what Abe was bringing up.
Yeah.
But I just noted, we've dissociated our call for home, and that's what going to the right mind brings that back. It undoes the dissociation. And going back to the sentence I read just earlier on 162, it's that single unequivocal call
Mhm.
that undoes the dissociation, because then we see our call for home
Right.
become prominent.
Yep.
That single call. So there's not
Right.
not two desires. Yeah.
Exactly. But even a few running starts of a whole bunch of equivocal calls give us enough of a taste of momentary peace that we start to see the clarity and undo the ego's pathologically lying state and see this like, well, it's never delivered. Ego's never delivered on its promises for peace, and even though in a sense we really haven't asked for peace, if we're honest with ourselves, right? Lisa, would you like to read the rest of this section? Middle of 163 through up
Well,
to the royal
okay,
rod?
so we're on paragraph 4 now in
Yes.
Yeah.
You who complete God's will. Yeah. Unless someone else has anything else to say what we read so far.
you who complete God's will and are his happiness, whose will is powerful as his, a power that is not lost in your illusions. Think carefully why you have not yet decided how you would answer the final question. Your answer to the others has made it possible to help you be partly sane. And yet it is the final one that really asks if you are willing to be wholly sane. And then Ken says, Jesus describes the situation in which most students of the course find themselves, no longer wanting the ego system, but afraid to let it go. Here is where the pain seems most excruciating, for we know what we are doing and can no longer blame others. In
Darn.
effect, we have come to the midpoint of our journey. Oh, yes, we cannot go back to the ego because we recognize its insanity, but we fear completing the journey to sanity that will end our specialness. This is when it becomes tempting to have our ego's cake and eat it too. For example, we bring truth to illusion and seek to save the world, making it real in our perception and the object of salvation. We think it is our function to teach A Course in Miracles to the non-believers, rather than teach it to the only person who exists in our dream, the decision-making self. We fall prey to these temptations because we fear Jesus' message of releasing the ego once and for all, and do not truly answer the final question. That means making our yes to him be not no to the ego.
Would you mind pausing there for a moment?
Yeah, I was
I
just
think
going
what
to
you just
ask.
read.
There's a previous section that talks about the
Yes.
questions,
Yeah.
and then the final question is
Exactly.
kind of, yeah,
Right. What we did last week was the last unanswered question, and the
right. And I
fourth of
was
those.
away and I didn't have a chance to listen
Oh,
to the
that's okay.
replay.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I'm sure you've read it before.
yeah.
The four questions are: do I desire a world I rule instead of one that rules me? Check. Do I desire a world where I'm powerful instead of helpless? Check. Do I desire a world in which I have no enemies and cannot sin? Check. And do I
And
want to see
then,
what I denied because it is the truth? Well, I'll get back to you on that one. And that's what all of us do as egos, all of us with
yeah,
split minds,
that's that final, it's really the
Exactly,
final
exactly.
step in a way, because,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And
So,
like Ken says, it just recognizing that that's what we're doing and
yeah,
not beating ourselves up is like that's
yeah.
hugely helpful because that says, well, okay, I must have been afraid of the love that's beyond that yes,
I
beyond
feel like you kind
beyond
of
that
get
request,
stuck. I
yeah,
feel
beyond
kind of
that ask.
stuck I feel kind of stuck in that place. I feel like I've been in that midpoint where we can't go back to the ego because
Right.
we recognize it's insanity,
We've
but we fear
seen too
complete.
much. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like, well, I
Yeah.
can't go back, but I can't, I feel stuck going forward.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah.
I don't think you're alone there. I think we're all
Yeah.
probably in some fashion or another in that mode. And I think that's why our persistence with the course and our willingness to keep being shown, what we're doing with our mind, that the course is instrumental in helping with. Really could take any form that we need, but the course is such a brilliant mechanism for that.
Yeah.
That's how we get through it. We just, go through the mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Marissa.
Yeah, I was just going to add where it says, rather than teach it to the world, teach it to the only person who exists in our dream.
I know, I love that.
But why not
Hint,
try
hint.
that?
Yeah, hint, right.
Instead of
Yeah,
pointing out that way.
right. Can anyone relate to the idea that, well, I no longer am blatantly going around saying, oh, you got to read this thing called A Course in Miracles, but there's probably thoughts that are equivalent to that
Yes.
could cross our minds when we see people acting out or doing things that seem crazy, and the thought is, oh, if they only had the course, or if they only had whatever, I mean, I still find myself doing that on a pretty regular basis. Anyway, I don't know if anyone else. Audrey.
I don't ever think that. It's funny
Really?
because it's it's so hard to convey
Yeah.
what the course means that I don't even, but
Can we all bow down to you, Audrey, that you've achieved that?
Yeah, that's just
no,
on high.
no, please, please. I
Okay.
secretly think it.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
I totally secretly think it. But
Okay.
I just want to say that this,
There
no,
are no
just
private thoughts, Audrey.
no, here's what, because I've tried. Because I've tried, and people look at me like I'm talking about Scientology.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah,
but
there's that.
anyway, no, what I wanted to say was this paragraph. I got this out. Um, I've about 2 years into it, about a year and a half ago. I thought I was going through the dark night of the soul. I don't know what that is anyway. But to me, it was this. I didn't have anywhere to go because I knew what didn't work, but I didn't want what did work. And there's a
Exactly.
way in which I'm still there. I think as long as Ken says, if you see something in the bathroom mirror, you're still a little bit there. Um, but
Doesn't he say, if I might, if you identify with what you see in the bathroom mirror?
That's what's, yeah.
I don't think
no,
it's,
actually, I mean,
no?
he says something like it all the time,
Oh,
but
okay.
I think he has said,
Really?
if you see something. I mean, well, maybe, I mean, you're the
You're gonna
one who said,
see. Yeah.
when I quoted Helen as saying, I know it's true, but I don't believe it. I don't
Right.
want to believe it. And
Right.
and that's actually the very same thing. He might have said that. I mean, but
Okay.
in any case, I think that we're all students, so that means we're all learning.
Yeah,
Is that fair?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly.
But I am, I haven't met anyone who is completely, well, I mean, I don't know. I'll stop projecting for 7 seconds. For 7 seconds, that's all. Okay, I'm back to project.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Welcome, Leslie, and hi, and Abe, if we go ahead. And then Marissa.
Okay, thanks. Um, you know, the part where it says that in Ken's commentary that this is where the pain seems to be most excruciating, for we know what we're doing and can no longer blame others.
Mhm.
I think by and large, I definitely, I think I'm in that stage, and I would imagine that's true for a lot of other people as well. But but we might misunderstand that and thinking that it's because the ego now is stronger or something. The ego is not any more strong anymore. What happens is that we have the ego pulling left and the Holy Spirit pulling right because we chose that situation.
Right.
That's why it's painful. It's not because the ego is stronger now. So actually, we should not I guess what I'm saying is we should not get disappointed in our progress with the course. Progress is being made, and in fact, the fact that the Holy Spirit is pulling is progress. It's just that we are letting this other horse pull us too.
Right, right.
And it's when we're ready to let go of the one horse and only
There you
the
go.
other horse that we will be free of pain. And
There you go. Yeah.
yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. And I'll comment on it before Marissa. I was thinking of the locomotives. You have to have two locomotives on the track, coupled together, but facing opposite directions, and both the wheels are turning, but opposite directions. And there's a lot of sparks flying and smoke billowing out of the engines, but they're not going anywhere because they're both pulling in opposite directions. But it's like you say, it's not that we haven't been doing that all along, but now it's almost like the heavy sedation is worn off, and now we're now we walk into the engine compartment and realize, oh my gosh, I've been of both trains and see what we're doing. It's like, oh my gosh, I've been feeding both of these, and that's why I'm so upset. But I've actually been crazy all along trying to go both directions at once. Yeah. And probably going the ego direction predominantly. Now it's like, oh, I got to turn this thing around, which is to say I got to stop putting coal in the ego's engine, whatever the equivalent is. Yeah. Marissa.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that in the beginning of my journey, the course sat on the shelf from the early 90s and I didn't touch it for a long time. And then my husband finally pulled it off the shelf. I think I'm going to start the workbook. And I, the great ego that I am, said, well, I'm going to start the workbook then if you're going to start the workbook, because I don't want to be too far behind you, and so that's what competition is what what did it for me. But I used to, in the beginning, I used to not tell to people, but just intimate things to them without them asking.
Mhm.
Now I don't do that anymore. And because I know the teaching is within and it's not me, for one thing. And when I first met Bruce almost 20 years ago, I remember having him over to my house and I asked him, do you still see yourself in the bathroom mirror? I don't think you remember that, but you laughed uproariously. You laughed and said, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I was a
think
new
we're always
student,
going to.
so yeah. But the point I was making is, yeah, I think in the beginning I was trying to push the learning and the teaching out there because it was like a hot potato. And so instead of bringing it in, I was like, oh, okay, you need to be taught. You need to be taught. I have this great new spirituality I need to tell you about. Not that I did that, but it was kind of like a few people asked, and so then I really took advantage of them asking. So this was some years ago. But yeah, it's now I know. Yeah, it took a while.
Yeah, it does. And we're all working on it. And what you said reminded me of those wonderful potlucks we'd have. I might want to see how Doug Hoth and some of the other folks on our Castle Rock group are doing these days. I haven't touched base with them. And some of those folks. Anyway, Myra, and then Audrey.
Well, just about the bathroom mirror. You can't see Myra in her totality. In the past few years, I have been getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and I cannot see Myra anymore in the bathroom mirror. When I go to the bathroom, I only see this. I can't. I've gotten so small that I can't see this image in the mirror anymore, and I like that. That's okay. But what
Are you just tilting the mirror up higher? Is there...
There's no tell.
no, I just don't look anymore. It's
Oh,
okay.
okay. Okay. Got it.
Every now and then I stand on my toes and I say, "Oh, there you are. Hi." No, but then I only greet my travel companion. I don't greet a Myra anymore. But that's what I wanted just to mention, that while we're all going through this stage, I think development of trust, there's a period of unsettling that he says that can take a long time. And Ken talked about that. That's the stage that we are disconnecting from the identity with the body. And what I always add to that is that it's happening very naturally and slowly and gradually. And that's the brilliance of our teacher, Jesus. that every type of forgiveness, every type of stepping back, every time we're going above the battleground or in the quiet center, however you're practicing that, that's a disconnection. And it's happening every single day, every single time. The miracles are happening. We're just not aware of them always, except I get shorter. But but the disconnection is happening. So we don't listen always to these stories and how difficult it is and so. No, just let it happen. Because it is happening to everyone right now. Yeah. It's a beautiful process. It's brilliant. Yeah, thank you.
It is. Thank you, Mara. Yeah, it really is a beautiful process, and it is brilliant. And I love the line in the course, I think, that fits what you just shared is, and we will realize in glad astonishment that for all this, hoopla, we gave up nothing. We really, we're not asked to sacrifice anything except the idea of sacrifice, which is nothing. Yeah. Did someone else have a hand raise? Audrey? Yeah.
First of all, I just want to say, Myra, thank you. I can't hear that enough. I just
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah,
Yeah. Really.
exactly.
Yep.
And and I know it too, because I really do spend most of my day watching the Audrey. I've had this little thing for a really long time. It's two penguins, and the one who's like looking over at the other penguin
Yeah.
is like the Audrey trying to forgive the Audrey.
Mm.
But this is who I am up here. I mean, I've had this for a long time
Oh,
before
that's cool.
I made that connection.
Yeah.
And that's the
Long-
decision-making mind at the top.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's great.
Yeah, so I watch that. I'm that Audrey like with the beady eyes. But anyway, I think that the answer always is stop worrying about it.
Yeah.
You're exactly where you're meant to be. But just for kicks, I just typed in Google Ken Wapnick. If you still see someone in the bathroom mirror, here's what I got from AI Overview.
Okay.
According to Ken Wapnick's teachings on A Course in Miracles, if you still see someone in the mirror, it indicates that you are still identifying with your body and the ego. Your true identity is not the physical image, but the mind that is observing. So I see a very big Audrey in the bathroom every day. But I take my
I don't
glasses
know.
and I
I
look
just try to
so much,
giggle more. That's been helping. Yeah.
I just take my glasses off and I look so much better. I don't have any wrinkles.
Exactly. I kind of see that I kind of think, I don't know because I haven't gotten there yet, but I kind of feel like you may still see a form.
It's a
It's just your
joke.
identification with it.
I think it's a joke. I think he's just
Yeah.
saying that we're still all
Right.
learning,
Yeah.
that we're
Yeah.
still learning.
So don't take that too
Yeah,
Well,
because
and when the
Jesus is
poof,
very clear. Never deny what our body's eyes see.
Yes.
We
yes,
see
Yeah.
the
Really
body.
unworthy
But
exactly.
we're giving
form.
it now a whole new purpose.
Right.
And that's about the identification. And about
Exactly.
really, it's never deny anything. He says that, isn't that chapter 2? The denial of the body will make you crazy. That's the wrong use of denial. You know how,
Yes.
So
how
it's
does he say that, Bruce? He says that.
particularly unworthy form
An
of denial.
unworthy
That's the
form
one.
of denial. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. So we don't have to deny the form because all the
Yeah.
forms become now our classroom, and then it's our ticket home. Thank you.
Thank you. So the
Amen.
sixth
Yeah.
stage of the development of trust, where we answer the final question of those 4 yes, and we go peace, and at some point after that we go poof, and then there's no bathroom mirror, and then no one to look in it, right? But that's a little beyond the scope of our curriculum for the day, anyway. Right?
Yeah.
There's
So
just
we
a
can
little amoeba looking around. What happened to the mirror?
really.
That one that lays on the leaf that turns that you're
Yeah, that's the one.
you're a little amoeba.
Abe, thanks.
Yeah, I find this conversation about looking in the mirror in the morning is super helpful and enlightening in many ways. I think one of the values of looking in the mirror and then analyzing your thoughts is that you become aware of what you thought about that body.
Mhm.
So you become, even if you still think you are that body, you're becoming detached from it because now I'm beginning to see it as separate from the observer that's looking at the body.
Right.
And that is helpful in and of itself, even though if I end up identifying with that body as myself, I'm beginning the process of detaching from that connection. So thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, as you're saying that, I was thinking about, you know, thinking about how I used to look in the bathroom mirror, and oftentimes there would be even not necessarily a conscious, but mostly an unconscious twinge of guilt or dissatisfaction or something less than peaceful. And I think that's happening a little less. Anyway, yeah, which is a good thing. Myra, would you like to read the last bolded section and then Ken's comment?
Um,
That's
and number paragraph 5.
paragraph 5. Yeah.
Okay. What is the holy instant but God's appeal to you to recognize what He has given you? That's beautiful. That's a beautiful description of the holy instant. In that instant, we realize what has been given us already. Beautiful, yeah. Here is the great appeal to reason. Reason is the right mind. The awareness of what is always there to see. The happiness that could be always yours. It's there in that holy instant, yeah. Here is the constant peace you could experience forever. Here is what denial has denied revealed to you. For here the final question, that's what you kept saying, yeah. Here the final question is already answered. And what you ask for is given. Here is the future now. Now. The moment is now. The holy instant is now. For time is powerless because of your desire for what will never change. Your desire for what will never change. For you have asked that nothing stand between the holiness of your relationship and your awareness of its holiness. Oh my, that is such a beautiful paragraph. He's really describing that one. I know you still somehow believe in the fear that you invented and you made it real, and I know you're still having a hard time, but listen, as soon as you look away from that fear with me together, this is what you will experience, and it's beautiful. So what does Ken say? In the holy instant, we finally say and mean, I do not want the world's offering, but want instead to learn the lesson that not only is the world not hurting me, I have not hurt it. Oh, that's beautiful, Ken. Yeah, nothing happened. Nothing happened. To truly learn this lesson of the illusory nature of the ego's inner and outer worlds of separation, we need to live under the principle of forgiveness. To live under the principle of forgiveness. Looking at the ego through the eyes of reason, it's the right mind. This is vision's gift of happiness that reminds us of the holiness we both have and are. The holiness we have and are, and the happiness we have and are. A happiness the ego cannot change or destroy. Haha. So ego, you got it. Knowing this truth is the meaning of our accepting the atonement, the welcoming of salvation, wherein our not know becomes the softly resounding yes. Oh, beautiful. Both this paragraph and Ken's writing also. Beautiful. The world has not hurt me, but I have not hurt the world in any way. I like that one.
Isn't that great? I've got that
I don't think
underlined
I
pretty heavily
read
too.
that before. I'll have to put
Yeah.
my lines here. Okay.
Thank you, Myra. Yeah, thinking about that one line, after I underlined, I was thinking, well, that's full forgiveness, because that's basically forgiving the outer for the guilt that I assumed was valid on my projections, and then I'm forgiving the inner, which is my choice for the ego, which didn't make sense either. So neither
Nothing
inner or
happened.
outer is worthy of assassination, incrimination, destruction, abomination, whatever else we can think of it as an ego tactic. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Audrey?
forgive that which has never happened. Nothing
Yeah.
happened.
Exactly. Anything else, Myra, on that? No. Okay. Audrey?
The last two sentences of the actual reading is, I think, mind-blowing, because I think most people, and certainly I go through life thinking that there'll come a time in the future, maybe the near future, but in the future, when I'll be at peace. And it says, here is the future now. For time is powerless because of your desire for what will never change. For you have asked that nothing stand between the holiness of your relationship and your awareness of its holiness. So what I'm saying is, I get it, it's now, and I am aware that it's now.
Yeah.
That's it, just, it's pretty cool.
Ego mind blown, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've got that underlined too. Your desire for what will never change. I synchronistically, I got a Facebook tech message from out of the blue from a fellow named Eric McCarty, I think. Anyway, he and I talked on his podcast for about an hour or so. And oftentimes when I have an initial conversation with someone, and they ask, "Well, how did you get into all this stuff?" Well, so it's like, well, when I was a kid and into my teens, I always want to know what didn't change. It's our desire for what doesn't change, because I think i- even if we're not consciously aware of it, I think everyone has a part of their mind that wants that ultimate stability and safety and security, and not against something, but just because that's our real identity. That why would we not want something that's consistent instead of a moving target? But we're still dealing with the after effects of the moving target. Um, a few minutes ago, we were talking about the change in the decision, and I was thinking about, well, we can hit the unsubscribe button, but you might still get an email or two for a day or two until it hits the server, and the automated thing unsubscribes you, right? Or you might have ordered something from Amazon, before you can, if it's already shipped, you may not be able to cancel that order. But I think that's kind of how our life is playing out in the world. Is there's things that, there's still we're dealing with on a temporal level, but if we can remember that it's already done, and that, I think, talks to what Audrey was just saying, that peace is really available to us now, every now, and regardless of what seems to be happening, which may be just the residual backlog of ego choices that seems to play out in our dream form. Marissa?
Yeah, Audrey brought up the past, and I'm reading The Journey Home, Ken's book, The Obstacles to Peace.
Mhm.
And in it, he just speaks about the past, and he says, we choose to see a connection between an event that upsets us
Mhm.
and ourselves. And it is this connection of victimization that is the problem.
Right.
In the context of the unreality of world of time, Jesus explains that our problems do not lie in the past, but only in our holding on to them. And then he goes on and quotes him from chapter 28, that our desire made the link. Our desire made the link to the past. And only you have held it to a part of time where guilt appears to linger still. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just our reluctance to loosen our white knuckled grip on the controls, um, which is obviously, if there's a white knuckled thing going on, that's ego trying to hang on to some kind of an effect, thinking that if I can manipulate the effect, maybe I can change the cause, which of course is backwards and level of confusion and all that. Yeah. Abe?
You know, looking at Ken's commentary, the sentence where he says, we need to live under the principle of forgiveness, looking at the ego through the eyes of reason.
Mhm.
In another part of the journey through the text, he defines the eyes of reason as vision that is unblinded by fear,
Yes.
which I find it pretty helpful.
Yeah.
Sometimes, some of these concepts are kind of abstract, reason and vision, but when you realize that it is fear that's dominating what you think you're seeing, then when you can remove that filter from your perception, the
Mhm.
perception changes dramatically.
Yep.
And so our goal, is again, the not no curriculum. Say no to fear.
Exactly.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, and isn't fear really just an excellent poster child thought, feeling, emotion for the ego? And it really could include the entire umbrella of any unpleasant or painful or yucky feeling or thought. Right? Yeah. Thanks. Anything else on this section before we hop over to 22? Chapter 22? No? Okay. I think since we're doing so well with this, and we still have, even a little more than half an hour, we might get through Ken's comments on the introduction of chapter 22. So I'd like us to hop over to page 192 in the same book of Ken's Journey Through the Text, volume 3. And this is where he's talking about the holy relationship and yeah. Well, actually, it's just about two pages. So, but I think there's another part too. But maybe we'll get to it. The other was another part, but that's okay. Let's see what we can get going. No, maybe that was it. Oh well, whatever. Let's go for it. Let's see who hasn't read yet. Sakina, would you like to read? You probably don't have the. I'm guessing you might not have the journey through the workbook, and you might be off camera too. So let's. Abe, would you like to read from the first column down to the bolded on page 192? I think everybody else has read. Right?
Who did you ask again, Bruce?
Oh, you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you like me to read the
Basically
beginning?
the left column on page 192 of the journey.
Okay.
Text. Yeah.
The whole column except the bottom bit?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I can do that.
Okay.
We devote the rest of this movement of our symphony to the happier climes of the holy relationship, the antithesis of the unholy relationship or special relationship in which we believe we and our brothers are separate and differentiated from each other. We learn that we see others as different because we see God as different. This is interesting. So he's saying how we see our brothers determines how we're going to see God.
Bingo. I think that's throughout the course if we're looking for it, isn't it? Yeah.
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 In truth, though, we and our Creator are not separated. For we, as Christ, God's one Son, are unified in the joyous oneness of creation. So I'm not reading what the course says in paragraph 1 in the introduction. Take pity on yourself, so long enslaved. Rejoice, whom God hath joined, have come together, and need no longer look unseen apart. No two can look unseen together, for they would never see it in the same place and time. Sin is a strictly individual perception, seen in the other, yet believed by each to be within himself. And each one seems to make a different error, and one the other cannot understand. Brother, it is the same, made by the same, and forgiven for its maker in the same way. The holiness of your relationship forgives you and your brother, undoing the effects of what you both believed and saw. And with their going is the need for sin gone with them. In his second sentence, Jesus returns to the aforementioned gospel statement, Matthew 19:16, in reminding us that God's Son, joined as one with him, can never leave his source. So I guess he's talking about that sentence where it says, when people come together, even if it's to look at sin, they no longer see sin because they've come together in common purpose. And when you come together in common purpose, we are, participating in a holy relationship.
Exactly.
Okay, let's see here. This means that the thought of an individual self and the perceptual world of sin that arose from it cannot be real. Such unreality is perpetuated in the special relationship based on our innocence being gained at the expense of another's sin. This madness is undone by the holy relationship in which perception of differences, sin and innocence, is brought to the Holy Spirit's true perception that sees all people as the same, the vision of reflected oneness that forms the basis of forgiveness and healing. So yeah, it's beginning to hint at the value of the holy relationship, which is to undo these perceived differences that we think matter and that keep us separate from each other. So those differences begin not to matter as our minds come together into what matters, which is, experiencing God's love and letting go of the idea that we're both guilty and unworthy of God's love. So, yeah, right.
Yep. And that sameness is the platform, isn't it? I mean, that's a foundational idea that makes forgiveness not only possible, but makes sense, huh? Yeah. One of the things that that phrase, whom God hath joined together, um, I think if I remember right, the biblical phrase is something like, let no man put asunder. So I looked up asunder, and it means separate or apart or different. and I was thinking, well, that's the asunder is basically another archaic term for the ego's thinking, isn't it? So I wrote in the margins here that Holy Spirit undoes the asunder blunder. Got to have a rhyme there somewhere, right? Yeah. But that sameness really is huge, isn't it? I mean, and the holy relationship, as Ken points out, if someone says they have a holy relationship with a particular person, um, I suppose he would probably look askance, but maybe in a kind way. But his comment, if I remember right, was run as fast as you can. Which is to say, they've obviously forgotten that the course is about the mind and not about form or behavior, and yeah, in any given moment, if I'm forgiving my projection, I may seem to be having a holy relationship with a particular person, but it's really I'm just letting Holy Spirit correct my thinking to show that the differences aren't real and we're the same, and therefore the holy relationship is really between my thought about what I think of as myself and my thought about what I think of as another person. And if they're the same, then that difference collapse and I'm left with the oneness. That's kind of how I'm kind of learning to think of it. Does that resonate with anyone? Okay. Abe and then Marissa.
Yeah, and Ken's commentary where he says, such unreality is perpetuated in the special relationship based on our innocence being gained at the expense of another's sin. He's hinting here at the idea that we are attracted to guilt, which I've always at first thought recoil that why he said, why would I be attracted to guilt? Well, the reason I'm attracted to guilt is because I need to find it in somebody else. So I'm always looking for guilt in all the wrong places. I think, in my brother and the world and everything, instead of realizing that it's actually in my mind. So the attraction of guilt is real because we want to see it out there. Yeah. Thanks.
Desperately seeking a culprit that's not us. I was thinking about, I mean, in the last year or so, my wife has watched it, and I've sat down and watched a goodly handful of them too, of murder mysteries, and some of them are really well done and kind of fun. But I was thinking, well, that's a really popular genre of what we call entertainment. And well, I mean, if you think about it, the detectives and the people who are witnesses, and I mean, they're all, desperately trying to find someone else to blame. And then, of course, if you're watching the show, the person watching the show isn't, they're not the criminal. So they get to vicariously, remove themselves even further from any guilt by being entertained by seeing some guilt out there, maybe twice or three times removed from the self that we think we are, right? But what a crazy thing that is, Audrey. Yeah. And then back to
Bob
you.
and I, every day we have lunch together and we watch one of those shows.
Yeah,
Usually
yeah.
the European ones. We
Oh, the
like
British ones are fabulous, aren't they?
the
Yeah,
British ones, and
particularly.
the French ones are a lot
Oh,
of fun.
really? Oh, we'll have to check those out. Yeah.
And MHZ is the channel to get all the great European.
NHZ.
M as in Mary, H as in Harry, Z as in zebra.
Oh, is
MH.
that like megahertz? Okay, right. Okay.
It's just a great channel.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
Hmm.
one of the reasons I love them, besides everything you just said, is that they're always solved.
Yeah, yeah.
So it makes the ego very, very happy
Right, right.
because there is justice in the world, and I can
Right.
go around thinking that it really works. I have to stop
I've
watching.
dodged the bullet again. Wow, how cool is that? Exactly. Yeah, thanks. I'll have to check out that channel, megahertz. I'll think of Abe.
Yeah, I think that bringing up the shows where we can see guilt on the character in the show is quite useful.
Yeah, yeah.
Thing to think about, and especially when we also the person, the actor acting out the bad character, when we see it in yet another completely unrelated movie, our perception is already colored by his presumed guilt in the previous show.
Right, right.
And even if we get infrequently, we might even see that person face to face, and that projection of guilt is still in our mind, even though we there's a part of my mind that knows, no, he's just acting out something. There's another part of my mind that's saying he's guilty as hell.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just an interesting dynamic that we have going on all the time. Yeah. Thanks.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was thinking the murder mysteries are a little less, um, dander raising than watching the news, because then it's a little bit closer to home, because we realize, well, maybe I'm complicit, even if I didn't vote for the candidate that I'm upset with. I can still see that, maybe, gosh, have I somehow contributed to this madness in some way? But the contribution, whether it may not be a financial political contribution, is always, I'm adding to the hurricane of hate, there's just the blathering of the ego's projection and of guilt onto whoever's a handy target. Yeah.
I was just going to add that is more honest, though, because the fact is that it doesn't work in the world. The world doesn't work.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
And when I watch these murder mysteries, like, I can't watch violence. I only watch the ones where the murder happens quite neatly at the beginning, and then it's just a question of unraveling. But I still
Mhm.
get really anxious, and I think to myself, it's like dreaming at night. It's just I have so many metaphors for what I'm doing all the
Mhm.
time as an
Mhm.
ego, and that really is one of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like Abe said, I really don't like those people because they're not really actors. They're very bad people.
Mhm. Oh,
I,
so
I I recommend the Nordic noir version of those, the Swedish and have you seen some of those pop up on
Love the
Netflix?
Swedish.
Yeah,
you mean
and
like the
then
Swedish chef?
Norway. No,
MHD has
the
all
murder
the
mysteries.
Okay.
Just not
Swedish
to
I'm
confuse.
thinking of the Muppet, the Swedish
Right.
chef.
Yeah.
and the
Just ignore
Italian
me.
ones are kind of humorous. They're a
Yeah.
little whack.
Yes.
Huh.
Yes. There's some of them that
Wow. All these subgenres I didn't know
There's a
existed.
whole series called Murder In, 14 seasons, and they're all an hour and a half each, and they are all French in various parts of France. So it's absolutely quite beautiful to see the different parts of France, even though
murder
So
in.
it's like
Okay.
International
Murder,
House Hunters with a murder. Okay. I
murder
get
they
in.
just throw the murder in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you all seen the movie with Demi Moore, The Substance? Oh, I recommend that. It's really well done, although it's not easy to watch.
I think I've heard
But
of it. Yeah.
I tell you, there's a lot of the ego we can see in this movie, and I'd like your opinion on it if you ever see it.
Okay.
It just made me think of rosy lips upon a skeleton sentence. Did you see it, Lisa? No. Oh yeah, yeah. Wow. She was up for an Academy Award for her part in it.
Oh, she won a couple of awards.
She won the Golden Globe and a few others. Yeah.
Yeah, she won
Yeah.
a couple, and
She
I
did
know it's
amazing.
well done. It just
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
much for me. I tried a little bit. It
It's
was,
worth seeing if you can stand a little bit of gore, but it you know, it's not, well, you just have to see
And
it.
he invented the internet, so sorry. Let's see,
Was it
where were
Bill
we?
Gates, huh?
Okay. Um, see, Audrey, would you like to read starting from the last little couple sentences on bottom left column of 192 and then
Just
down to
under heaven,
the bottom? Yes. Well, let's see. No, actually, I don't think we read
therefore.
the right column. So if you could restart from the bottom of the left to the bottom of the right column on 182.
Oh, okay. So holy relationship.
A holy relationship starts from
Yeah.
different premise. Yeah.
Okay. A holy relationship starts from a different premise. Each one has looked within and seen no lack. And Ken says, in the holy or on the unholy or special relationship, we look within and see scarcity and sin. Our inner perception is projected onto the world, and we seek from others the specialness that would fill the lack first perceived in ourselves. Following Jesus' guidance, however, we look within to the abundance of heaven, and then we see it all around us as expressions of love or calls for it. This holy relationship with our elder brother infuses all relationships with his loving kindness and mercy, the hallmark of the holiness of God's Son. That's so beautiful.
Mhm.
So when I look out at the world as an ego, I see lack and pain. But if I look at it with my elder brother, then I see abundance. Um, and I can see anything that isn't loving as a call for love.
Exactly. I think of that as kind of looking through the facade of the form of the behavior. And I need Holy Spirit or Jesus or an ego-free presence in my
yes.
mind to look through, like kind of like X-ray vision to the eternal in the other person or persons or situation, and just see, well, I'm misperceiving this. I'm not seeing the whole thing, and the wholeness, the totality is that there's an eternal innocence and a perfection that I'm missing because
Yeah.
I've chosen the wrong teacher, but I can be taught differently.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a call for love if it's not an expression of love. It's just such a helpful idea, isn't it?
Such a helpful idea.
Yeah.
And it means that there's no opportunity for hate, you know.
Right. Right.
It's just it's not a
No
it's not
opportunity that it can't be corrected. Huh? Yeah.
because it's a call for love.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I all I can do is say, oh, that's why,
Mhm.
you know, that's why that's all right, anyway. Accepting his completion, he would extend it by joining with another, whole as himself. He sees no difference between these selves, for differences are only of the body. And Ken says the body's eyes perceive differences, but our right minds, the home of reason, interpret those differences differently. And seeing them as mere superficial defenses the ego employs to prove the separation is real. A call for love. With Jesus by our side, these perceived differences inevitably call to mind their ego origin, freeing us to make another choice. And I love that it's freeing us to make another
Mhm.
choice, that's freedom. It's not, you know, compelling me to make another choice. It's freeing me to
Mhm.
make another choice. We recognize that behind these defenses of specialness is the common content of ego belief, as well as the shared need to awaken from the dream of fear and hate. Supported by this healing vision, our eyes gradually open to the reality of our oneness in Christ. I have to say that although I'm on quite a low rung, I do, I'm very easily triggered in the moment.
Mhm.
I can't find a way to hate anyone anymore.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, just given even the people that we all love to hate. It to me, it's just their channel to who their true self is just so blocked. You know,
right.
that I
Yep.
can
Yep.
see it as a call for love.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Anybody else? Go on. Should I go on? Or
I was just going to comment on the last part of Ken's commentary there. Behind these defensive specialists is a common content of ego belief. Well, there's the sameness there, as well as the shared need to awaken from the dreams of fear. So that's, I think, that one of the brilliant things that Ken does is he keeps coming back to that idea that we all have the same right mind, the same wrong mind, and the same decision maker. And I think that's just he just expresses it there elegantly. Yeah. Yeah. Want to finish that last?
Yep. Therefore, he looks on nothing he would take. He denies not his own reality because it is the truth.
Mhm.
Ken says, this harks back to the fourth and last unanswered question. And do I want to see what I denied because it is the truth? Jesus is implying that we have in fact answered his question. We do want to see, for we no longer desire the guilt-driven gifts of specialness that led us into lives grasping for crumbs that could never satisfy our longing for the love we have forsworn. He's such a good, he's such a good writer.
Mm-hmm. And
I'll
consistent
take the
too.
I'll take the crumbs, please. No.
Yeah, I think of that sometimes because I have a habit of when I reach the end of a box of something, I'll turn it upside down and empty the crumbs into my mouth. And sometimes I'll think of that as like, oh, it's not like I guess it's just not wanting to waste anything. But sometimes I think, am I really is this whole world satisfying? Trying to satisfy myself with crumbs? I mean, no matter how the size of the morsels that I'm in, gobbling. Yeah. Yeah. But we do want to see. I have probably one of my thickest underlines under that we do want to see, for we no longer desire the guilt-driven gifts of specialness. Yeah, grasping for crumbs. Anyone else on that so far? Okay. Marissa, could you read the next column down to um, up to, but not including the bolded one on the bottom of 193?
Sure, sure. Just under heaven does he stand, but close enough not to return to earth. For this relationship has heaven's holiness. How far from home can a relationship so like heaven be? And Ken says, in the holy relationship that is born in the holy instant of forgiveness, we stand outside the differentiated dreams of separation by realizing they are all the same as are we as God's sons. Without this belief in separation, there is no sin, meaning there is no need to make a world in which to hide from God's punishment. Bodies are no longer seen as offering the protection we need, the perception that justified our stealing innocence from them. Though not in heaven, we are far enough along now to realize that the world is an illusion we do not want, and so we will never go back to it and its squalid gifts of specialness. Squalid gifts of specialness. That one's for you, Audrey.
Squalid is I think
Love that.
isn't that an onomatopoeia? It's almost like you stepped on a banana slug or something. You know? Like a kind of squishy, squalid, kind of yucky, yeah, sounding word.
True, true.
And you stepped on it when you were bare feet, of course, right? So
Yeah, of course. And
in the
there's
middle of the night.
a squishy sound, and yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
we won't get into that.
Okay, okay.
And Jesus says, think what a holy relationship can teach. Here is belief in differences undone. Here is the faith in differences shifted to sameness. And Ken says, this defines a prominent theme in this chapter. We do not deny differences on the level of form, but we do not let our physical perceptions blind us to the mind's underlying sameness. It cannot be said often enough that whenever we are critical of others, use them for our own purposes, or directly attack, we affirm that we are different from all those who have the love and innocence we crave. Furthermore, the ego leads us to conclude that since our partners in specialness will not give us what is rightfully ours, we are within our rights to take it from them. Seeing the pain in such madness is what impels us to seek the teacher of holiness and his healing vision of forgiveness. Isn't that the truth? If our partners in specialness will not give us what is rightfully ours, we are within our rights to take it from them. Yeah.
I was thinking of manifest destiny. I remember learning about that in grade school. Okay, we're here on this continent. So what if you were here first? We're taking over now. You know, wow. Okay. But that's all based on the idea of lack and not enough, right? I mean, if we realize we have and are everything, the idea of conquering and that kind of abuse wouldn't even occur to us. It's like, well, if you've got everything and you are everything, you know, there's no bucket list. There's no even gentle, pleasant acquisitions. There's nothing to acquire, to get, or to have that you don't already have, or be that you're not already being.
And
Yeah.
this happens on every level. So, sorry, just a minute.
Yeah. It does. Yeah.
Sorry, Abe.
Go ahead.
Like the microscopic level, the
Yeah.
macroscopic level.
Oh, yeah.
We see it with
Right.
trees fighting for the sun and
Mhm.
and in the ground for the water,
Root
just
wrestling.
crisscrossing each other
Yep.
for and getting the other one out of the way. Hey, I'm getting the water, not you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was mentioned in one of Gary Renard's books about the roots, fighting each other, and if you could see like a slow motion movie, it'd be like, sumo wrestlers in super slow motion, trying to compete for root resources. Yeah, and wrestling. A little alliteration there. Abe, thank you for waiting.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to Ken's commentary in the previous section for
Okay.
sentences, paragraph 3, sentences 7 through 9,
Okay.
where he says that in the holy relationship, we stand outside the differentiated dreams of separation by realizing they're all the same as we are, as are we as God's son. And then without this belief in separation, there is no sin, meaning there's no need to make a world in which to hide from God's punishment. Meaning, one of the key benefits then of the holy relationship, in my opinion, there are many, but one of the more important ones is that we no longer have a need to be fearful, because now we're not looking unconsciously for God's punishment anymore.
Mhm.
The world is out there and is not meant to punish us. Our brother is out there and it's not meant to attack us. So it's a much more relaxed, peaceful perception
Mhm.
and a nice ride. So, yeah.
Thank
Thanks.
you. That is huge, isn't it? I mean, that's really the essence and the foundation again for peace, isn't it? I mean, if there's nothing that's, it eliminates the whole cause of paranoia of any sort, or any fear, because it's like, well, if there's nothing out to get us, you know, physically or psychologically, then, you know, what am I worried about? There's no sweat, right? And when you say, and I was kind of giggling when you said one of the benefits, I was thinking, well, the atonement is every benefit, but we just don't get that yet, do we? I mean, it answers all questions, resolves all dilemmas and conundrums, heals all sickness, of any sort, because it transcends the whole idea of duality and differences and craziness and any problem we could possibly muster, huh, Marissa? I mean, Audrey?
Yeah, I was thinking about what Abe said. It's like if you're doing a pinball machine and you make your shot and it's going back and forth, yada yada yada, back and forth, back and forth. If we just let it fall into the hole, which would be losing in the game, but then there's no ball that set it free and started all the yada 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 back and forth. There's no there In other words, it kind of short circuits that whole thing that Abe was bringing up in this sentence. Without this belief in separation, there is no sin, meaning there is no need to make a world in which to hide from God's punishment. So it just kind of short circuits the whole thing. You let the ball just go. Yeah.
And then people will be singing, "How do you think she does it?"
Tommy.
The Who, yeah.
We said pinball. I immediately flashed to that.
Pinball
Yeah,
Wizard.
exactly.
Well, you know, just
Just let it go, huh? Yeah.
That was
losing.
Elton John, right? In Tommy, the Elton John's song, was it?
I don't know if Elton John wrote it. I thought it was the
No,
Who,
I
but,
think it's the Who.
yeah, not that it matters. Yeah. Go.
Oh yeah, I think it is. Yeah, it's the Who.
The
But
what?
but anyway,
What? Where?
what Horton hears, um, when you said that that would be losing in the, you know, in the world, but we've always gotten that backwards anyway. But what I wanted to comment on was we do not deny differences on the level of form, but we do not let our physical perceptions blind us to our sameness, which means we are all the banana slug, Bruce.
Yes. Every ego is slimy. Maybe that's another bumper sticker, huh?
We're joined in our sliminess, and then we're joined in
Really,
love.
really. And that's why we need the Ghostbusters of the Holy Spirit to unslime. Let's see. I think we got a minute left. Let's go for the last little bit of this. Lisa, would you like to read from the bold, starting from bold, the bottom left of 193 down to 2/3 of the way down the right column of 193, which is basically, another half a page. And you're on mute.
Asking, and here is sight of differences transform division.
Yep.
Is that where I start?
That's
Okay.
it. That's it. Yep.
And here is sight of differences transformed to vision. Reason now can lead you and your brother to the logical conclusion of your union. It must extend as you extended when you and he joined. It must reach out beyond itself as you reached out beyond the body to let you and your brother be joined. And now the sameness that you saw extends and finally removes all sense of differences, so that the sameness that lies beneath them all becomes apparent. And then Ken says, recall this previously discussed theme of turning from judgment to vision. Our healed perception extends through the mind to embrace all people in the shared purpose of forgiveness. Even the world's most egregious sinners share the need to awaken from the ego's insane dream. Some live this insanity in socially acceptable ways, while others do not. Plainly, both groups are equally attacking because they seek to prove they are right in their differentiating perceptions and God is wrong. But God thinks otherwise. That's a quote from chapter 23, section 1. Differences in form make no difference. For as long as we believe the world is real and bodies represent significant differences, we listen to the ego. We cannot help attacking others, defending against our fear of God's punishment for the sinful attack on him and his innocent and unified Son. Do I stop there?
The next to the next bold and
Okay.
and then we're good, I
Okay,
think.
perfect. Here is the golden circle where you recognize the Son of God. For what is born into a holy relationship can never end. We are reborn in the holiness we now recognize as ours. For we live in the golden circle of light we last saw in the forgotten song. chapter 21, section 1, to which our forgiveness has gently brought us, the infinite and eternal creation of love that extends beyond itself to itself, the Son that God created, one with him.
Mm.
That's a great way to end, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's beautiful.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I think, what Audrey was talking about earlier about not being able to hate people, even the people we love to hate. And I was thinking of
Hmm.
Trump, let's say. I'm going to use him as an example because Trump is, I mean, within the dream. I mean, I'm sorry. I think that player in the illusion in that video game is pretty bad. He's the role of the villain or anything. But if you're really aware that's not who he is truly, then it's easy not to hate the true person, the true one that we all are. I think for me, it's helpful to see that that's a role that we
Yeah.
play in this world.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yeah.
He's doing his part as
Exactly.
victimizer
exactly.
that we
I,
all
I
gave him.
so,
Yeah.
sometimes I'll have this vision of, 8 billion people plus, on an enormous stage, all holding hands at the end of an incredible dramatic production.
Exactly.
It includes all of
Yeah.
space and time. Of course, obviously, this would be more than 8 billions, but but including Trump and then Genghis Khan,
Hitler.
Joan of Arc. I
Yeah,
mean,
all
all
of
the
it.
people that we've sainted as well as demonized,
That's
and
right.
all in incredible costumes, so realistic, so convincing, all holding hands, taking a bow, and then the curtain drops. It's like, wow,
Exactly.
what a production!
Great way to end.
What a
Yeah.
production! Yeah.
Did I send you the Biden and Trump bongo?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't listened to it
That's
yet,
like a
but you did
small
send.
version of what you said.
It's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's how I see it more and more.
Yeah.
And yes, Lisa the ego can get mad at Trump's role,
Exactly.
but it's not really
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
So,
Right. I'd like to end with, since we were just mentioning the forgotten song, I'm going to read paragraph 8 of that. I think would be a nice meditation to close with. And is anyone else? You don't have to go there, but if actually, Myra, would you like to read that?
Where is it? What page?
It's let's see, forgotten song is in the beginning of chapter 21 when we actually skipped over to 22.
yeah, it's chapter 21, section
So
1.
it is going to be uh, paragraph
Oh, this
8
is a beautiful paragraph.
is
Yeah. Beyond the body, beyond the sun and stars.
yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
That's the
Yeah.
one.
447. 447. If you could read paragraph 8 in the text.
Ah, beyond the body
I just think it kind of fits nicely with what we just read
It
about the
does.
holy
Yeah.
relationship. Yeah.
and beyond the sun and stars and everything you see, and yet somehow familiar, is an arc of golden light that stretches as you look into a great and shining circle. And all the circle fills with light before your eyes. The edges of the circle disappear, and what is in it is no longer contained at all. The light expands and covers everything, extending to infinity, forever shining and with no break or limit anywhere. Within it, everything is joined in perfect continuity, nor is it possible to imagine that anything could be outside, for there is nowhere that this light is not.
Thank you. Thank you all for sharing this enormous stage with me as we wake up from the dream of separation.
Thank you, Bruce. I love this so much. I have to go watch a murder mystery.
Okay. MHZ or whatever.
MHZ, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah,
But
Thank
so
you,
anyway, I
everyone.
really do see the stage thing. That's works really well for me. So
Great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thanks
It was
all.
Thanks,
Thank you all
everybody.
for
Great
today.
class.
This was really beautiful. Thank you all. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Yeah. Okay.
Be a friend.
Mhm.